My name is Jalen Price, and I am 32 years old. I was finishing up dinner when my fiancée dropped the bomb, like she was discussing the weather. So, Terrell called today, Alicia said, checking her reflection in the hallway mirror. He wants to get drinks tomorrow night and catch up. See how things are going. I looked up from my plate. Terrell, her former boyfriend of 3 years, the one she dated right before me. Catch up, I asked, keeping my voice level. She turned around with that smile I used to love. Yes, just as friends, obviously. We ended things on good terms, and he is curious about how I am doing. It is completely innocent. I see, I said. You are obviously not invited, though, she added with a little laugh. That would be strange, right? Having my fiancée there while I'm talking to my ex-boyfriend. There was the line in the sand. Completely understood, I said, taking another bite of my food. She seemed pleased with my response. Too pleased, like she had expected some kind of fight or jealousy from me. And my calm reaction meant she felt safe, like she could push a little further. I knew that look. She wanted something from this. I knew you would understand. You are so mature about these things. That is why I love you, Alicia said. She came over and kissed the top of my head. Most men would be all strange and possessive about their girlfriend having coffee with an ex. Drinks, I said. You said drinks first, then coffee just now. She waved her hand dismissively. Same thing. You know what I mean. I did not know what she meant. I knew exactly what she meant. She disappeared into the bedroom to pick out an outfit for tomorrow. I could hear hangers sliding across the rod, clothes being pulled out and pushed back, zippers, buttons, the soft thump of shoes landing on the carpet. She was putting real effort into this innocent catch-up. I finished eating in silence, my mind already working through what needed to happen next. This was not about jealousy or possessiveness. This was about respect, boundaries, and what kind of marriage we would have if I let this slide. The answer was simple. We would not have one. The next evening, she came back out wearing her black dress, the one she wore on our first date. How do I look? Alicia asked, doing a little spin in the living room. Perfect for catching up with an ex-boyfriend, I said. She missed the sarcasm completely. Thank you, baby. I want to look nice, but not like I'm trying too hard, You nailed it, I said. She was so focused on her appearance and her plans that she did not notice I had stopped calling her by any pet names. Did not notice the shift in my tone. Did not notice that I was studying her like I was seeing her for the first time, or maybe for the last time. I should probably be home by 10 o'clock, she said, applying lipstick in the mirror by the door. Unless we really get into talking, then maybe 11. Take your time, I said. Alicia smiled and slipped her lipstick back into her purse. You are the best. She grabbed her purse and keys. I will text you when I am heading home. The door closed behind her with a soft click. I sat there for a moment, listening to her car start up and drive away. Then I got up, cleared the table, and went to get my laptop. I had some phone calls to make. The first call I made was to Owen Jewelers downtown in Chicago, the same place where I had picked out her engagement ring just 6 months ago. Owen Jewelers. This is Leon speaking, a calm voice said. Hi. This is about an engagement ring I purchased in March. The account is under my name, Jalen Price. I need to know about your return policy. Certainly, Mr. Price. May I ask the reason for the return? Change of circumstances, I said. There was a pause. Leon had probably heard that before. Well, our policy states that engagement rings can be returned within 90 days for a full refund, provided they are in original condition. After that, we offer store credit or can discuss a trade-in value. It has been 6 months, I said. I see. In that case, we would need to evaluate the piece, but typically we offer 60 to 70% of the purchase price for a trade-in. 60% of $4,000. $2,400 back. Not ideal, but better than keeping a ring for someone who is currently having drinks with her ex-boyfriend. I will be in tomorrow morning, I said. Excellent. Just bring the ring and your receipt if you have it, Leon said. Next, I opened my laptop and started researching tenant rights in Illinois. We had been living in my apartment for the past year. Her name was not on the lease. Legally, she was a guest who had stayed long enough to feel permanent. 30 days notice in most cases. But given the circumstances, I wondered if that even applied. I made a list of everything that was hers versus mine. The couch, bed, dresser, dining table, and television were mine, bought before she moved in. The small bookshelf by the window, I had built with my uncle years ago. Her clothes, her books, The decorative pillows she insisted on, her collection of expensive skincare products that took up half the bathroom counter. Those were clearly hers. My phone buzzed. A text from her. Just got here. The place is really nice. Terrell looks good. There was a smiling face emoticon at the end. I stared at the message for a long moment. The cheerful little symbol was a nice touch. I did not reply. Instead, I called my buddy Reggie, who had been through his own painful breakup last year. What is going on, Jalen? He answered. I need a favor. Can I stay on your couch for a few days? I asked. Trouble at home? Reggie asked, his voice shifting immediately from casual to serious. Paradise just ended. I said. What happened? I gave him the short version. Alicia's ex-boyfriend. Drinks. The dress. The texts. My plan. Reggie listened without interrupting, which was one of the things I appreciated about him. Jalen, she is testing you, he said when I finished. This feels like some kind of power play. I know, I replied. So what are you going to do? Reggie asked. I'm going to pass her test with complete clarity, I said, just not in the way she expects. You need help moving anything? Reggie asked. Probably tomorrow. I will let you know, I said. You have it. And honestly, I respect you for not putting up with that nonsense. A lot of men would just be sitting around the apartment tonight, worrying themselves sick while she is out, Reggie said. After hanging up with Reggie, I started packing. Just the essentials for now. Clothes for a few days, toiletries, my laptop, some files I needed for work. I moved methodically, like I was packing for a business trip. My phone buzzed again. Oh my goodness, he is so funny. I forgot how much we used to laugh together. Alicia texted. There was an emoticon with tears of laughter. This time, I almost laughed myself. She was actually giving me a play-by-play of her night with Terrell. Either she was completely unaware of how this looked, or she was deliberately trying to make me jealous. Neither option spoke well for her judgment. I found a box in the closet and started packing her things, too. I might as well get a head start while the apartment was quiet. I put her jewelry box in first, then the framed photos on the nightstand, her favorite coffee mug with the gold lettering, the scented candles she liked to burn, all the little signs that she lived here. By 10:30, I had 2 bags packed for myself and 1 box of her belongings ready to go. My apartment looked different already, cleaner somehow, like it was returning to what it used to be before it became our place. My phone had stayed quiet for the past hour. Either she was having too much fun to text, or she had finally realized that sending updates about her ex-boyfriend was not the smartest move. I sat down on a couch and opened a beer. The same couch where she had said yes when I proposed, where we had planned our future together, where she probably expected to curl up next to me tomorrow night and pretend nothing had changed. But something had changed. Everything had changed. She just did not know it yet. Around 11 o'clock, I called my older sister, Jasmine. She had never been particularly fond of Alicia, though she had kept most of her opinions to herself, only letting a few slip out of family gatherings. This is late for you, Jasmine said instead of hello. Is everything all right? Define all right, I said. Oh no, what did she do now? Jasmine asked. I told her the whole story. Jasmine listened, and I could practically hear her rolling her eyes through the phone. Are you serious? She asked. She is texting you updates from her night out with her ex-boyfriend? Former relationship, I said. She is very clear about that part. I'm sure Terrell sees it exactly the same way. Jasmine replied dryly. She paused. So what is your plan? Pack her things. Give her 30 days to find a new place. Move on with my life, I said. Good. It is about time you set some firm boundaries around her behavior, Jasmine said. I have always had a backbone, I replied. You have had patience, she said. There's a difference. Remember last Christmas when she threw that fit about spending time with our family instead of going to her friend's party? I remembered. I remembered the tight, polite smile Alicia wore as she complained in the car afterward, the way she had made it clear that my family traditions were an inconvenience, and the time she started redecorating your apartment without asking, Jasmine continued, or when she started making major decisions about the wedding without discussing them with you. I should have seen this coming, I said. Probably, Jasmine replied, but better late than never. Do you want me to come over and help you pack her things? I have it handled. Thank you, though, I said. Call me tomorrow, Jasmine said. I want to know how this plays out. After hanging up with Jasmine, I sat there thinking about all the little red flags I had ignored. The way Alicia had gradually taken over my space, the way she had started making unilateral decisions about her future, the subtle disrespect that had grown bolder over time. Tonight was not the beginning of a problem. It was just the moment I decided to stop ignoring it. My phone rang. Reggie calling back. "Hey, I was thinking about what you told me," he said. "Are you sure you want to do this tonight? Maybe you should sleep on it." "I've been sleeping on it for months without realizing it," I said. "Fair enough," Reggie replied. "Listen, my couch is yours as long as you need it. But have you thought about what you were going to say to her when she gets home?" "I'm going to tell her the truth," I said. "That respect is not negotiable. That I am not going to marry someone who thinks it is appropriate to go out alone with her ex-boyfriend, get dressed up for him, and text her fiancé about how much fun she is having." "You are really calling it a date?" Reggie asked. "What would you call it?" I asked. "Two people who used to sleep together getting dressed up, going out for drinks, and laughing about old times." "When you describe it that way, it is hard to argue," Reggie said. "The strange part is she actually thought I would be fine with it," I said. "Like I've been trained so well that I would just sit here and wait for her to come home from her evening with another man." "Maybe that is exactly what she thought," Reggie said quietly. The thought stung because it was probably accurate. Somewhere along the way, I had become the kind of man who would accept this. The kind of man who would make excuses for behavior that should be unacceptable. Well, not anymore. I walked around the apartment one more time, making sure I had everything I needed. The lease was in my name. The utilities were in my name. The internet, the streaming services, all of it. She had moved into my life, my space, my routine, and now she could move right back out. At 11:47, my phone buzzed with another text. "Heading home now. Thank you for being so cool about tonight. Love you," Alicia wrote. I read it twice, then deleted it without responding. She would be home in about 20 minutes, expecting to find me watching television or reading in bed. Instead, she would find me sitting in the living room with packed bags and a box of her belongings. I turned off most of the lights and sat down to wait. The conversation we were about to have would determine whether she was the person I thought I was going to marry or whether I had been fooling myself for the past 2 years. Either way, I would have my answer tonight. I heard her car pull into the parking lot just before midnight. The engine shut off, followed by the familiar sound of her heels clicking against the pavement. She was taking her time walking up to the building, probably checking her phone or touching up her makeup in the reflection of a window. I stayed seated on the couch, my bags by the door, the box of her belongings on the coffee table. The engagement ring sat in its original box next to the lamp. Everything was organized, deliberate. This was not going to be an emotional outburst or a dramatic scene. This was going to be a clear decision. The key turned in the lock, and she stepped inside, humming softly to herself. She was in a good mood. Great, actually. Better than I had seen her in weeks. "Hey, baby," she called out, kicking off her heels by the door. "Are you still up in here?" She walked into the living room, still glowing from her evening out. Her hair was slightly messed up, her lipstick was gone, and there was a happiness in her eyes that I had not put there. That was when she noticed the bags, the box, the ring case. Her smile faded slowly, like someone was turning down a dimmer switch. "What is all this?" she asked, trying to keep her voice light. "Have a seat," I said. "Why? What is going on?" she asked. She remained standing, her eyes moving between the packed bags and my face. "Did something happen? Did someone pass away?" "Yes," I said. "Our relationship." She let out a nervous laugh. "What are you talking about? I was gone for like 4 hours. What could have possibly happened?" "Nothing happened." "That is the point," I said. I gestured toward the chair across from me. She finally sat down, but perched on the edge like she might need to run at any moment. "I do not understand," Alicia said. "We were fine this morning. You said you understood about me meeting Terrell. You were completely calm about it." I said. "I understood perfectly." "Then what is the problem?" she asked. I leaned back and studied her face. She genuinely did not get it. After 2 years together, after planning a wedding, after building what I thought was a partnership, she honestly could not see what was wrong with tonight. "The problem is that my fiancée just spent 4 hours on a date with her ex-boyfriend and thought that was appropriate behavior," I said. "It was not a date," Alicia replied quickly. "How many times do I have to tell you that? We are friends. We have history, but we're just friends now. Friends who get dressed up in their favorite outfits, go out for drinks, and text about how good the other person looks," I said. Her face flushed. You were taking those texts the wrong way. What is the right way to take them? I asked. I was just being friendly, she said. I was excited to see an old friend, and I wanted to share that with you. I thought you would appreciate that I was being open and honest about everything. I almost laughed at that logic. You thought I would appreciate live updates about how attractive your ex-boyfriend is and how much fun you are having without me. I said. Is that really what you thought? When you say it like that, it sounds bad, she said. It sounds exactly like what it was, I replied. She stood up and started pacing, her hands moving as she talked. This was her tell when she was getting flustered. Look, maybe I could have handled it better, Alicia said. Maybe I should have been more sensitive about the texting. But you were completely overreacting here. Breaking up over something this small is extreme. Small, I repeated. Yes, small, she insisted. I had drinks with someone I used to date. We talked, we laughed, we caught up on each other's lives. That is all. Nothing happened. Nothing was ever going to happen. That is not the point, I said. Then what is the point? She asked, her voice rising. Please explain it to me, because I am completely confused here. I stood up as well, tired of looking up at her while she paced. The point is respect, I said. The point is boundaries. The point is that you made a decision that affected our relationship without considering how I might feel about it. But you said you were fine with it, she protested. Because I wanted to see what you would do, I said calmly. I wanted to see if you would recognize that going out alone with your ex-boyfriend, getting dressed up for him, and enjoying yourself enough to text me about how great he looks was inappropriate for someone who is supposed to be marrying me in 6 months. She stopped pacing. So, this was some kind of test. No, I said. This was you showing me who you are when you think I will just accept anything. That is not fair, she said. What is not fair is being engaged to someone who thinks it is all right to prioritize her ex-boyfriend's feelings over her fiancé's. I said. I never said I was prioritizing his feelings, she replied. You said it would be strange if I came along, I said. Strange for who? She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it. For him, she said finally. For everyone, really, but mostly for him. It would be awkward. Why are you worried about making your ex-boyfriend comfortable? I asked. For the first time that night, she seemed to be thinking about her words before speaking. It would have been awkward, she repeated quietly. For him, I said. Because deep down you knew this was not just two friends catching up. You knew there was something inappropriate about it, or you would not have cared about it being awkward. She sat back down, her energy deflated. So what now? Alicia asked. You are really going to throw away 2 years because I had drinks with an old friend? Drinks, I said. You said drinks every time except when you were talking to me earlier. Then became coffee, then just catching up. It is interesting how that keeps changing. Oh my goodness. Are you keeping track of every word I say now? She asked. I am paying attention to details that matter, I said. Like how you have been planning this outfit since yesterday. Like how you have been more excited about tonight than you have been about anything involving me in months. Like how you never once asked if I was okay with it. You just told me I was not invited. She was quiet for a long moment, staring at the box of her belongings on the coffee table. I did not think it would be such a big deal, she said softly. That is the problem, I said. You did not think about how it would affect me at all. You just assumed I would be fine with whatever you decided to do. So what happens now? She asked. I picked up the ring box and held it out to her. Now you decide what kind of person you want to be, I said. And I have decided what kind of marriage I am willing to have. She stared at the box like it might bite her. You are really doing this, she whispered. I am really doing this, I said. Over one night out with an old friend, she repeated. Over a pattern of behavior that tonight made crystal clear, I replied. She took the box with shaking hands. Where am I supposed to go? Alicia asked, her voice breaking. That is something you'll need to figure out, I said. Your name is not on the lease. So legally, I need to give you 30 days notice. I'm giving you that now. 30 days. 30 days, she repeated. I will be staying at Reggie's for a few days to give you space to make arrangements, I said. But yes, 30 days. She looked around the apartment like she was seeing it for the first time, or maybe for the last time. I cannot believe you are doing this to us, she whispered. I'm not doing this to us, I said. This was done the moment you decided that going out with Terrell was more important than respecting our relationship. I picked up my bags and walked toward the door. I will be back Sunday afternoon to get more of my things, I said. Try to have a plan by then. Wait, she said. She stood up, still holding the ring box. Can we at least talk about this when you're not so angry? I'm not angry, I said. That is what you do not understand. I am disappointed, and that is worse. I opened the door and looked back at her one more time. She was standing in the middle of what used to be our living room, holding what used to be her engagement ring, surrounded by what used to be our future. For what it is worth, I said, I hope you and Terrell are very happy together. Then I closed the door and walked away from the biggest mistake I had almost made in my life. Reggie's couch turned out to be more comfortable than I expected. I slept better that first night than I had in weeks. No tossing and turning. No lying awake wondering if I was making the right choice. Just solid, uninterrupted sleep. I woke up to the smell of coffee and bacon. Reggie was in the kitchen, already dressed for work, moving around like he owned the place, which he did. Morning, he said. How did you sleep? Better than I have in months, I said, stretching. That is either a good sign or a really bad sign, Reggie said, handing me a mug of coffee. Any regrets yet? I thought about it for a moment, really searched myself for even a small flicker of doubt. None, I said. Wow, he said. You are really done, are you not? Completely, I said. My phone had been buzzing all night. 17 missed calls, 12 voicemails, and 43 text messages. I had not looked at any of them. She has been trying to reach you, Reggie observed, nodding at my phone on the coffee table. I figured, I said. Are you going to respond? He asked. Eventually, I said, when I am ready to hear what she has to say. Reggie studied my face while he ate his breakfast. You know what is interesting? He said. You seem lighter, like someone took a weight off your shoulders. He was right. I felt like I could breathe properly for the first time in months, like I had been holding my breath without realizing it. At work that day, I threw myself into a project that had been sitting on the back burner for weeks. My coworker, Denise, noticed the change immediately. You seem different today, she said during our lunch break in the company kitchen. More focused. Just working through some personal things, I said. Good personal things or bad personal things, she asked. Necessary personal things, I said. Denise had met Alicia a few times at office parties. She had always been polite, but never particularly warm toward her. Now I wondered what she had picked up that I had missed. If you ever need someone to talk to, I am a good listener, Denise said. Thank you, I replied. I might take you up on that. Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I finally listened to the voicemails. They started apologetic and quickly escalated to angry, then circled back to desperate. It was like a greatest hits collection of emotional manipulation. I cannot believe you are being so dramatic about this, Alicia said in one message. You are throwing away everything we built over nothing. I talked to my mother, and she thinks you are having some kind of breakdown, she said in another. Terrell texted me asking if we are all right, because you seemed upset last night, she said in yet another voicemail. That last one made me laugh out loud at my desk. Terrell was already checking in. How thoughtful of him. The text messages followed a similar pattern. Apologies mixed with accusations, mixed with attempts to minimize what had happened. But one message stood out from the rest. It had been sent at 3:17 in the morning. I called Terrell to tell him what happened, and he said he thought we were broken up based on how I was acting tonight, she wrote. He said I was flirting with him all evening, and he was confused about why I was there if I was engaged. Maybe you were right about some things. I read that message 3 times. So Terrell had noticed what I had noticed. He had picked up on what she was communicating, and she had been too busy enjoying the attention to realize it. I forwarded the message to Reggie with a note. Even her ex-boyfriend knew it was a date. He responded immediately. She just admitted she was flirting with him all night. That is harsh, but at least you have clarity. By Friday afternoon, I was ready to go back to the apartment and get more of my things. Reggie offered to come with me, but I wanted to handle it myself. The apartment felt different when I walked in, smaller somehow. She had clearly been crying. There were tissues on the coffee table and end tables, and the place had that stuffy, closed-up feeling of someone who had not left in days. She was sitting at the kitchen table when I came in, still in pajamas at 3 in the afternoon. Her eyes were red and puffy, her hair was a mess, and she looked like she had not slept since I left. Hi, she said quietly. Hi, I replied. I've been thinking about everything you said, Alicia continued. I nodded and headed toward the bedroom to get more clothes. Can we talk? She called after me. We can talk while I pack, I said. She followed me into the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed while I pulled clothes from the closet. I think I understand now why you were so upset, she said. Good, I replied. Terrell said some things that made me realize how it must have looked from your perspective, she added. I kept packing. What did Terrell say? I asked. He said he thought we were broken up, she said. He said I was acting like I was single, and he was confused about why I was there if I was getting married in a few months. He sounded like he has good sense, I said. He also said, she paused like she was working up courage. He said I was sending mixed signals all night, that I seemed like I wanted something to happen between us. I stopped folding shirts and looked at her. Did you? I asked. I did not know, she said. The honesty caught me off guard. I had expected denials, explanations, more attempts to minimize what had happened. I had not expected her to admit that she might have wanted something to happen with Terrell. At least you are being honest now, I said. I keep thinking about that night, trying to remember exactly what I said and how I acted, she said. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that maybe I was not just catching up with an old friend. She was crying again, but quietly this time. Not the dramatic sobbing I had heard in the voicemails, just silent tears running down her face while she talked. I think maybe I was testing something, she said, seeing if the feelings were still there, seeing if I still had that effect on him. And I think I liked the attention. I liked feeling wanted by someone new, someone who was not used to me yet. I sat down on the other side of the bed, far enough away that we were not touching, but close enough that we could talk without raising our voices. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because you deserve the truth, she said. And because I'm trying to figure out why I did something so foolish. And what have you figured out? I asked. She was quiet for a long time, wiping her eyes with a tissue. I think I've been taking you for granted, she said. I think I got comfortable with the idea that you would always be there no matter what I did. And I think maybe I was starting to feel trapped by that. Trapped how? I asked. Like maybe I was settling, she said. Like maybe there were other possibilities I should explore before I got married. The words hung in the air between us. This was the conversation we should have had months ago, before we got engaged, before we started planning a wedding, before I spent $4,000 on a ring. So you used Terrell to explore those possibilities, I said. I guess I did, she said. I did not plan it that way. But yes, I think that is what happened. I finished packing the clothes I had come for and zipped up the bag. I appreciate you being honest with me, I said. Does it change anything? She asked. I looked around the bedroom that we had shared for the past year. The bed where we had talked about our future, the dresser covered with photos of us looking happy together, the closet where her clothes still hung next to the empty spaces where mine used to be. It changes everything and nothing, I said. What does that mean? She asked. It means I understand you better now, I said. But it also means I was right to leave. She nodded slowly, like she had expected that answer, but had hoped for a different one. I found a place, Alicia said. My friend Tracy has a spare room I can rent while I look for something permanent. Good, I said. I will be out by next weekend. Okay, she replied. I picked up my bag and headed toward the door. For what it is worth, she said, I know I made a mistake. I know I hurt you, and I know you are doing the right thing. I stopped in the doorway and looked back at her. I know you are too, I said. It was the first time either of us had acknowledged that maybe we were not right for each other after all. That maybe this whole thing had been a mistake we were too stubborn or too scared to admit. Will you be all right? She asked. Yes, I said. I will. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I was completely sure that was true. 3 months later, I was standing in my apartment again, looking at how different everything felt. The space was mine once more, arranged the way I wanted it, filled only with things that mattered to me. I had gotten a new couch, painted the bedroom a warm gray, and even bought some plants that I had actually managed to keep alive. Reggie stopped by that Saturday morning with coffee and donuts. It had become a weekly tradition since I moved back home, a small ritual that felt steady and familiar. You are looking annoyingly well-adjusted, Reggie said, settling into the new chair I had bought last week. Thank you, I said, smiling. I am serious, he said. When this whole thing started, I thought you would be an emotional wreck for months. Instead, you were like some kind of calm breakup expert. I thought about that while I sipped my coffee. He was not wrong. The first week had been rough, not because I missed Alicia, but because I was second-guessing myself, wondering if I had been too harsh, too quick to end things. But as the days passed, that doubt had faded completely. I think I just finally stopped pretending to be someone I am not, I said. What do you mean? Reggie asked. I spent 2 years being the kind of man who would accept behavior that bothered me just to keep the peace, I said. The kind of man who would smile and nod when his fiancée made decisions that affected both of us without asking what he thought. Reggie nodded slowly. The kind of man who would sit at home while his fiancée went out for drinks with her ex-boyfriend, he added. Exactly, I said. And once I stopped being that man, everything else fell into place. My phone buzzed with a text from Jasmine. Lunch today. I have news, she wrote. I showed Reggie the message. She has been mysterious about this news all week, I said. She probably wants to introduce you to someone, Reggie said. Sisters like doing that. An hour later, I met Jasmine at our usual spot downtown, a small soul food restaurant a few blocks from my apartment. We had grown up on meals like this, and the place felt like a piece of home. She was practically vibrating with excitement when I walked in. Okay, you have to promise not to get strange about what I am about to tell you, Jasmine said as soon as I sat down. That is not a promising way to start, I said. I ran into Alicia yesterday at the grocery store, Jasmine said. I had not heard Alicia's name in weeks. It was strange how someone who dominated my thoughts for 2 years could just fade away. And I asked. She asked about you, Jasmine said. How you're doing, if you're seeing anyone, that kind of thing. What did you tell her? I asked. The truth, Jasmine said. That you're doing great. Better than great, actually. I waited for the rest of it. Jasmine was clearly building up to something. She told me she and Terrell are together now. Officially, Jasmine said. I considered this information while I ate my sandwich. I expected to feel something, anger, vindication, hurt, maybe a bitter satisfaction. Instead, I felt nothing. Like Jasmine had told me about the weather or what she had watched on television the night before. Good for them, I said. That is it. Good for them. Jasmine asked. What else should I say? I asked. I do not know, she said. Maybe something about how you were right all along. About how she was clearly interested in him that night. I was right, I said. But I did not end things with her because of Terrell specifically. I ended things because of what her behavior that night showed me about who she was as a person. Jasmine studied my face like she was looking for cracks in my composure. You really do not care that she is with him now, she said. I really do not, I replied. Wow, Jasmine said. I thought you would be at least a little bit smug about being proven right. I laughed. Why would I be smug about avoiding a life I knew would not be right for me? After lunch, I walked around downtown for a while, thinking about the past few months. I had thrown myself into work and been promoted to senior project manager. I had reconnected with old friends I had neglected during the relationship. I had started going to the gym regularly, not because I was trying to impress anyone, but because I actually enjoyed feeling stronger and healthier. I had even taken a weekend trip to visit my cousin Malcolm in Portland, Oregon, just because I felt like it and because I could. For the first time in years, my life was entirely my own. That evening, I was reading on my couch when someone knocked on my door. I was not expecting anyone, and it was almost 9 o'clock. I looked through the peephole and saw Alicia standing in the hallway. She was holding a manila envelope. I opened the door, but did not invite her in. Hi, she said. Hi, I replied. I have some things that belong to you, she said. She held up the envelope. Mail that was forwarded to my new place, and a few other things I found while I was packing the last of my boxes. You could have just dropped them off with the building manager, I said. I wanted to talk to you, Alicia said. About everything. About what specifically? I asked. She glanced past me into the apartment. Can I come in just for a minute? She asked. Against my better judgment, I stepped aside and let her enter. She looked around the living room, taking in the changes I had made. The new couch, the plants, the absence of her decorative touches. It looks good, she said. Different but good. Thank you, I replied. She handed me the envelope and sat down, uninvited, on my new couch. Jasmine told you about Terrell and me, she said. She mentioned it, I said. You are not going to ask how long we have been together. Alicia asked. It does not matter, I said. Since 2 weeks after you and I broke up, she said quietly, as if confessing something heavy. I opened the envelope and started sorting through the contents. A bank statement, a magazine subscription, a birthday card from my aunt that had been forwarded to the wrong address. Are you trying to make me jealous or prove a point? I asked without looking up. I'm trying to apologize, she said. That made me look at her. For what specifically? I asked. For everything, she said. For that night with Terrell. For lying to you and to myself about what I was doing. For wasting 2 years of your life. You did not waste my time, I said. I learn a lot. Like what? She asked. I set the mail aside and really looked at her. She seemed smaller somehow, younger, like the confidence she always carried had been replaced by something more fragile. I learned what I will not accept in a relationship, I said. I learned what respect looks like and feels like. I learned the difference between being patient and being a pushover. She nodded slowly. Terrell told me what he said to you that night, she said, about how I was acting. He was honest, I said. I appreciated that. He said you handled the whole thing with more class than he would have, she said. Good to know, I replied. We sat in silence for a moment. I could tell she wanted to say more, but I was not going to help her get there. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I had not gone out with him that night? She asked finally. No, I said. Not really. Not even a little. Really? She asked. Because if it had not been that night with Terrell, it would have been some other night with some other situation. Exactly, I said. You show me who you are. I believed you. That is a harsh way to put it, she said. It is an honest way to put it, I replied. She stood up and walked over to the window, looking out at the parking lot, at the glow of streetlights on parked cars. I think I made a mistake, she said quietly. Which one? I asked. Letting you go, she said. I felt a familiar tightness in my chest, the same feeling I used to get when she said something that made me question my own judgment. But this time, instead of giving into it, I recognized it for what it was. A pull back toward a life I had already chosen to leave. You did not let me go, I said calmly. I left, because you chose Terrell over me that night, and I chose myself over both of you. But what if I made a different choice now? She asked, turning to face me with tears in her eyes. Then you would be making it too late, I said. She looked at me for a long moment, tears slipping down her cheeks. I know you probably hate me, she said. I do not hate you, I said. I do not feel anything about you. She took a step back like the words had hit her. That is worse than hate, she said. Maybe, I said, but it is honest. She wiped her eyes and headed toward the door. For what it is worth, Alicia said, her hand on the doorknob. I hope you find someone who appreciates what a good man you are. I already found someone, I said. She paused. Who? She asked, turning slightly. Me, I said. She held my gaze for a second, then nodded once, like she understood more than she wanted to admit. Then she opened the door and left. After she left, I locked the door and went back to my book. Outside, I could hear her car start up and drive away. This time, I knew it was for good. I thought about texting Reggie or Jasmine to tell them about the visit, to replay the conversation and pick apart every detail like we had done in the early days after the breakup. But I decided against it. Some things did not need to be shared or analyzed or turned into stories. Some things could just be filed away as lessons learned and chapters closed. 6 months earlier, I would have spent the rest of the evening replaying every word of that conversation, wondering if I'd been too harsh or if I should have given her another chance. Tonight, I just turned the page and kept reading, because for the first time in my adult life, I was exactly where I wanted to be, completely, unapologetically alone and perfectly fine with that. The man I had become would not accept anything less than complete respect in a relationship. And until I found someone who could offer that naturally, without tests or games or compromises that cost me my self-respect, I was more than content to keep my own company. It turned out that the best relationship I had ever had was the one I had built with myself. And that one, I knew without a doubt, was built to last. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.